Okay, we're all really tired. Let's start. It's only like 10. No, it's almost 11. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting a little late, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be a shorter episode this time because we have fewer questions. We're just gonna. I shouldn't have said anything. Erin just looked at me with like that. You shouldn't have said anything.
What?
I have to wake up early tomorrow morning and get bagels.
Yeah, I have to wake up early and drive to Park City. So
I have to wake up early and
roll over,
not go to work, and go to the gym and get beat up. That's what I have to do.
Hate you.
I'm excited. Okay, so checking in.
Wait, first we gotta start with Laney's embarrassing story.
Oh, you're right. Laney,
Because once again, Laney has an embarrassing story.
I think we're going to change it where rather than just one of us sharing an embarrassing story at the beginning of an episode, it should specifically be an embarrassing story about Laney. Whether she's here or not, which, by the way, she's here again.
Hi. The unfortunate thing is that is an actually realistic goal for me.
To have an embarrassing story once a week.
I have an embarrassing story more than once a week.
Or once every 2
but
weeks.
I have it every time we record. I have something I can tell.
Okay, well, go ahead.
So this one's a bit shorter, but I was just at work. I work at a coffee shop in the lower level of a building. It's kind of part of a real estate company. And I'm sitting there on my laptop because it's very slow. And one of the people who works at the real estate company comes down, sees me, and is just like, slacker. And I look at him and I'm like, well, do you see the line of customers waiting for me to serve them? And I gesture to nothing because that's all that is there. He says, well, you need to be out there marketing. You need to be out there finding the customers. And I was like, I market. I do that. And I look up and I turn on the open sign at 1 p.m. And I say, there. Marketing. That's my embarrassing story. It's not too embarrassing. It's just funny.
But it is pretty good. You know,
That's
you've
good.
been there. So what time do you get to work in the morning?
8.
She's been there for hours already.
The open sign
I
had
know.
been off for 5 hours. And you were wondering why you didn't have any customers.
Yes. And the first couple of days that I worked there, I just left the open.
You didn't notice the open sign at all, did you?
It was on the entire time. It was on for like 3 days straight.
Well, that's better.
And someone saw it and they were just like, oh, don't forget to turn that off. I think you've been doing that. And they're like, don't worry. I don't think anybody thought you were actually open.
It's like 4 a.m. Someone walks by and is like, hey! Actually, you gotta get in.
They're like, oh my gosh, I can get my decaf dirty chai frat.
Nobody's
Thank
getting decaf at 4
goodness.
a.m.
I was really hoping, though.
Somebody might.
I was really hoping, though, that you hadn't turned the open sign on for several days, but you had seen it, but had consciously thought, I'm not ready for that.
I will say, I don't turn it on the second I get there because I have to grind the beans and make the coffee first and run water through the espresso machine and then run shots through it. And that's just so much work, and I don't want people to think that I'm ready to give them anything.
I love that you were looking at me when you said that, like you thought I'd believe you. I used to work at that same coffee shop. I know
You
it's not that
didn't
hard and
work
doesn't
there.
take that long.
Elsa, you didn't work at that coffee shop.
I didn't work at that location, but I worked with all the same equipment,
Yeah,
and it was the same
but
manager
Elsa-
and owner.
But Elsa, you worked at the one where you had all the customers. You know how many customers I get in a day? Like 10.
What we're saying is the
So-
open sign is a metaphor for adulting.
Yes. Yes. I think that's a good conclusion.
you, Erin.
Jensen has died
Good.
on the floor
Good.
as we've been speaking. So let's move on. Erin, what are you playing right now?
So much already.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so last week we went and saw Spider-Man Far From Home, and it was fantastic, and I loved it. And then I heard that for Spider-Man on PS4, they added 2 of the suits from the movie, so I was like, oh, sweet. I don't really want to play Spider-Man because I've already platinumed it and everything, but I'll go on there and just look at the suits. And now I'm playing New Game Plus, and I'm like, almost halfway through the game again.
Please tell me that one of the suits is the night monkey.
It
It is.
Yes.
Well, the night monkey suit was in the game already.
night
No,
monkey.
it was different.
No, that was like Spider-Man Noir.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No, because I saw the noir suit, but I thought there was also a stealth suit.
No,
Because I started playing Spider-Man. Oh wait,
You
but
started
the movie
after the movie came
I
out.
started after the movie came out. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm shutting up.
Yes.
So
The Night
always-
Monkey suit is in there, and then the new one that he makes is black and red.
Yeah.
Ailsa must always contest some fact.
And I was listening to the BitHud podcast, and they were talking about.
I listened to that episode.
It was a good episode. They were talking about the Spider-Man suits and how they added that one in, and they said something about how the Tobey Maguire suit was more iconic, and I was like, okay, yes, I agree, it's definitely more iconic. But at the same time, when I saw the Tobey Maguire suit in the game, I went, oh, that's fun, and then I went right past it.
Yeah.
But when they put in the new black and red one, I immediately put it on and started taking pictures.
I'm sorry.
So, I don't know.
But the Tobey Maguire suit makes me think of Tobey Maguire, and that's kind of a deal breaker for me.
I think that's probably why I just went, that's fine,
like,
and
that's
skipped
fine.
over it. Because
I
I was
don't
kind of
need
like,
it.
well, Tobey Maguire, I didn't really like him as Spider-Man.
I still put it on.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
I liked him. I just didn't like his fake crying.
Yeah. I liked him a lot in the first one, because I was very young when it came out, and so it was the first time that I had ever seen Spider-Man live action. And I mean, I know they had that one show where Spider-Man was like a detective or something, and it was really weird.
What?
I think it came out in the 80s or something. It was stupid.
Oh gosh.
But you know, I kind of lost my love of him when the third one came out,
Yeah.
and I haven't really gone back and watched the first two since then.
I can't say I've seen many movies with Tobey Maguire in it, but I know that he also plays Nick in The Great Gatsby, and can I just say, if there is ever a more underwhelming main character than Nick, I think it might actually kill you.
I
to
think the
read
only
book.
problem I really had with Tobey Maguire was kind of the same problem that I had with a lot of movies that came out in that time period, which was I'm looking at this person who they're trying to sell me is a 17-year-old boy. And I'm like, I have never before in my life seen someone who is more obviously 27 years old.
Yeah.
Like, I can't.
This is Tangent the podcast.
Sorry.
So, you were inspired to get back into New Game
I
Plus
was.
on Spider-Man on
I was.
PS4. I remember you getting through the
no.
first game really quickly. So, for New Game Plus, like, how far along are you?
I'm like almost halfway through. I should have chosen a harder difficulty. But then I thought about the boss fights and I was like, If anything, New Game Plus is easier because you have all of your gadgets and abilities already and stuff. So it's, I don't know, I'm just having a fun time playing through it again.
Ooh. The nice thing would be that you wouldn't have to redo the challenges in order to be able to unlock whatever you hadn't already gotten.
Yeah.
Hated the challenges so
I
much.
know. Yeah, those were rough.
I have so many comments, but I'm going to wait until I get to my turn.
Okay. Yes, and I started Dragon Age 2 the other night while you guys were here, and it was really fun. And then I got to the part where there were lots of conversations, and it was really late, and I fell asleep.
It was funny. She kept trying to play. She'd be like talking to someone, and then we'd like it'd get to the point where she was supposed to make a choice, and she wouldn't be doing anything. Me and Laney would look over, and she's just unconscious, but still like sitting up straight, holding the controller. So we'd wake her up, and she'd immediately just choose something.
I was like,
And
maybe
then
don't
she'd
talk
like
on
sit
the
there and watch for a
camera
minute,
right
and then she'd be out again. And then when she finished the conversation, we're like, okay, we can leave now so we can get to sleep. And she immediately walks over and starts talking to someone else.
I think it was Bethany. She was in the house. She talks to Gamlin, and I'm like, oh, I thought we were gonna end. Then she like falls asleep, and then she moves on, talks to Ben.
And I think you started to make a beeline towards your mom, and I was like, just stop, Erin, stop.
What did you
Erin is so talented. She's literally playing video games in her sleep.
my sleep.
What did you end up naming the dog?
Oh.
Oh, it was like Mr. Fluffer.
Oh,
something.
it was
Wait.
Sir Flufflb?
Flufflb or something?
Flufflb.
Flufflb. I think you were gonna say like Mr. Flufflbum, but then it wouldn't let you, and so you just stopped it like Mr. Flufflb.
Oh, he was gonna be Sir Flufflb III, which for some reason Zach insists that's gonna be the name of our first dog, who will be a female. And
oh my
Mr.
gosh.
Yeah.
Sir Fluffle?
Sir Flufflb
Sir.
III.
Because sir can be used
That's
for a female
amazing.
knight. She's just knighted.
Yeah, you
amazing.
can call a woman sir if she's
That's
a captain
true.
in certain militaristic
Or if
structures.
she's a knight.
Or
Well,
if she's a knight,
okay,
which is
I
a
do.
militaristic structure, but whatever.
I heard in my own head Mr. and not Sir, so.
For example, a female police captain would still be called sir.
True.
This is a thing.
It works. Anyway, yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Oh wait, didn't you play your 4th of July game?
Oh yeah! Wow, it
forgot we
has
did
been a long time. Yeah, I played the first level in Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. Took me way back. I was laughing the whole time because I was like, oh my gosh, when this came out, my mouth was just wide open, like, oh my gosh, these graphics are so good. He looks so real when he moves, and look at the water on his suit.
Oh my god.
And I'm just laughing, like, he looks so weird when he crouches and walks. Does this weird little crab walk thing. But it was really fun. And yeah, it's a good time. I still want to play some more because the bank heist, well, not heist, but the bank level is my favorite, so.
Was it sufficiently America?
Yeah, I'd say so. Sam Fisher is very American.
So I got a little bit obsessed with my 4th of July game, which was Spider-Man. And I'm just assuming that, like, sort of unofficially, we were really just supposed to play this game basically before July 24th. Because it's Utah, and July 4th is America Day, and then July 24th is Utah Day, which everybody kind of makes almost as big a deal of as 4th of July.
We're not gonna play a game for Utah Day though. We're just gonna talk about Oregon
But
Trail.
I just mean that, like, our playing the America game kind of stretches forward to the 24th. Because the 4th and the 24th are sort of,
yeah,
they
Well,
sort of
it's
go
not
together
It's
in
not
Utah.
like you have to stop playing your 4th of July game once it's over.
I'm just rationalizing why I started Spider-Man so late. So, anyway, I've been playing Spider-Man, and I got slightly obsessed with it. I realized that I really love and get very satisfied by, like, lists and by checking things off lists. And that game is a really easy platinum because it's just a bunch of checklists. And that's my jam. I love that. I thought I was going to be sick of the traversal system after a few hours. I am not. I love it. I still love swinging all over the city and just enjoying myself in New York. It's wonderful. I will, like, kind of some things that Erin were saying, though. I can tell I'm gonna feel that way on New Game Plus as well, particularly with the boss battles. Those are not fun boss battles.
No,
they're not
hard.
I didn't get frustrated in any other part of the game besides the boss battles, and then
It's
I was
not-
like yelling at the game.
For me, it's
The
not
boss.
difficulty so much as it's just tedium.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like it's just like annoying. It's
yeah.
like, okay, now I gotta go do this thing, and then I gotta do this
It's like,
thing, and now I
oh,
gotta do it
yeah,
again.
Oh,
Yeah.
it did the
And then I gotta
random.
do it again.
Well, and it random number generated the thing where it's not going to work this time. So
Yeah.
whatever, I guess I'll just run after
Yeah.
him. And...
Yeah, that fight with
Yeah.
Rhino and whoever else goes with Rhino, that
one-
ridiculous.
I actually weirdly finished that one in like under a minute.
Seriously?
It was insane. Laney was watching me. Do you remember?
Took me forever.
I did that fight so quickly. You don't remember that?
I'm sorry, I was spacing out. I'm the only one here who hasn't played Spider-Man.
But don't you? Okay, you remember when I fought Rhino and Scorpion in Spider-Man? You were there.
She doesn't look like she
Okay,
remembers.
well, you were there.
I feel like
accusing her of remembering.
drool is about
She
to, like,
was-
come down my... Just
She was there. And it took me barely any time at all, and I was shocked because when I fought Vulture and the other dude, Electro? Is that his name? Not Electra.
Yeah.
When I
wish.
fought them, it took me forever. And it was
Mm.
like, it took me a stupid long time to fight them, but Rhino and Scorpion, I got them so
Oh,
fast.
I'm so happy for you. That fight drove me insane.
Erin,
It was
so
purely pure luck. I was just like, when it was over, I was just like, what happened?
Yeah, I think that like when I play boss rush games like Dark Souls or like Sekiro, where it feels like every time I go in to face the boss, or every time I try to go in to face the boss, it's like I have to try out these different strategies, and I really have to think about what's going on. But for the boss battles in something like Spider-Man, you just kind of have to throw yourself at the wall over and over again and do the same thing until it finally works. And like I haven't had to replay any of the boss battles. I've been able to get through them all on the first time, but it feels like they go on for just forever, and I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. And so it's not the most fun, but what is fun is stealth. Yes. I love stealth as Spider-Man, even though I don't think it makes any sense that the Taskmaster's challenge is rating you on the combo with stealth.
Yeah, that's
like
weird.
That's like contradictory, but it doesn't matter because I like the stealth. It's fun.
Yeah.
And most of the other Taskmaster challenges are the worst.
They're horrible.
Yes.
I don't like them at all. I don't think they're fun.
No.
But everything else in the game, especially the traversal, is fun, and I'm actually finding that I do enjoy the story. There's things about it that bother me. I think it's weird that there's this like theme of like, how to describe it. It's like Spider-Man is using this really advanced surveillance system to like keep track of everybody, and they're just sort of hand waving how that's fine and like good and not a problem, and it's just a bit weird. Like, especially considering that I was thinking about this in Far From Home, and then I think it comes up a little bit in Into the Spider-Verse too, which we watched recently.
Sorry, Laney just had like the farthest away expression I've ever seen.
I know, she's tired.
She looked like she was just like, her body was here, but her mind was on a different planet. Okay, I'm sorry.
I also liked Far From Home a lot. I thought that they did some fun stuff. I thought it was cool to see Jake Gyllenhaal just playing himself in a Marvel movie. And I got weird Nightcrawler vibes. But like but in addition to that, there was also Into the Spider-Verse, and in both of those films, I felt like even in Into the Spider-Verse, they kind of touch on the thing that I always liked the most about Spider-Man, which is kind of this constant struggle between like the public perception of him and then like what his actual altruistic motives, because like he really does just want to help people, but like nobody really sees it that way. They're always kind of suspicious of him as being a menace or a criminal rather than a superhero. And I've always liked that, and the game touches on that a lot, but I think it kind of undermines itself with him doing these kind of in like a weird way. I feel like it kind of undermines it with him doing these sort of ethically questionable things. And maybe that was what they were going for, is they were trying to make it a little bit more nuanced. But if so, they kind of seem to have dropped it. And I'm not done with the game, so maybe they get there eventually. But then the other thing is that he's actually like working with the police in such a tight way in this game. And I kind of wish that we had gotten, because like we're playing as other characters, and maybe this is just me thinking about it as though it were a novel, and wishing that I had a couple of chapters that are like perspectives from inside the precinct, where you can kind of see how there's this divide where like some people trust him and some people don't. And essentially I just feel like there's parts of the story that I would benefit from seeing that I know are probably a part of that world, or like are subtext, that I think should be text, because it is an interesting story. Maybe there's too many villains. Every once in a while I'm like, are there too many villains in this? It is a video game. Yeah. So like,
I was thinking about that. I thought maybe if they had spaced it out, like been like 1 week later, 1 month later or something. But I was like, you know what? It's fine.
Yeah. I think
I still love it.
I think it's fine. That's the thing, is I still love it. I'm still having a lot of fun. And it's not just my weird checklist thing, although that is super satisfying to me, and I don't know what that is. That probably comes from somewhere pathological, but like I just love it, and I'm having a fun time, and I haven't used photo mode even once, you guys.
That's insane.
I know. I thought about it at one point. I was like, oh, that could be a cool shot, and then I was like, nah, I'm just gonna keep going.
I just want to swing.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm not a very good photographer.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I took like hundreds of pictures in that
Yeah,
game.
I wanted to at least take like a selfie next to webbed up people or something.
Oh, I've done that so
like
much.
I wanted to do a little bit of that, but I haven't. And I spent most of the game playing in either the Night Monkey suit or the punk rock suit.
I took a selfie as Miles next to Peter unconscious with Mary Jane trying to wake him up.
I think I'm gonna land right in the very middle as far as opinions of Mary Jane goes. So you think she's the most obnoxious thing ever. Erin.
She gets better eventually.
I
but
can't say
still.
you and point when it's a podcast. Erin thinks that she's pretty obnoxious. Jensen thinks that she's great.
I've decided I forgot about the Mary Jane in the Marvel Spider-Man movies. She's my favorite Mary Jane, but this one's a close second.
Yeah, and I would say that I think that they have improved a lot and that her characterization's pretty great and she looks great and like there's some things about her that I think are working in the game, but some of the writing around her is like really, really frustratingly weak. Like it makes me angry. I actually like had to pause and just like put my head in my hands after one or two scenes with her because I was just like, why do they do this to you? Why do they write you like this? And I'm not going to get any more specific than that because it would definitely turn into a TED Talk. So
yeah, it's already gone long enough.
It's already gone long enough.
Out some of what you
and
said.
that was the first.
And you haven't even talked about your other game.
I haven't even talked about the other game. Okay, so I really, really want to get back to Sekiro, but I got obsessed with Spider-Man, and then I also had to play the other game that was Laney's birthday challenge game.
Yay!
And that was Dragon Age Origins. So I started Dragon Age Origins, you guys. And I have so many thoughts. I'm going to really try to just bullet point it because I'm going on too long here. But basically, first of all, why was everybody complaining about facial animations in Andromeda? Do they want them to go back to the days of Origin? Because this is ridiculous.
Bioware's never done good animations in anything except Anthem. I'm serious.
So, I mean, I know it's a 360. It's an Xbox 360 game. It's older. Like, I need to be forgiving. But, like, it was just so...
Okay, also...
Dragon Age especially has always had the jankiest.
Everybody just likes to forget, like, some of the janky... All the janky animations of every BioWare game.
Yeah.
Because... Do you guys forget, like, Origins when you get the chalice filled with blood?
Yes.
And it just looks hilarious and
Yeah.
big and so dumb, and it's like hovering above your hands.
And you're holding it like you know when you were playing with Barbies when you were a kid, and you tried to make them hold things.
Yes, they hold with Barbie hands.
And there's my favorite moment in the very beginning of Mass Effect 2, Weird Neck Shepard.
Yeah.
When Shepard sits up and grabs her side, and her neck goes all weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
And her hand is all weird too.
Or the third Mass Effect, whenever you do the scenes where you have to talk on the Bluetooth, her fingers are curled.
Yes.
Strange. Oh my gosh. We could go on for hours.
BioWare has the jankiest animations. Anthem is seriously the only one that has good animations.
I think Andromeda was gonna have good animation.
Like, what game do you think you were playing?
Anyway, I just kind of had this moment during the first hour of playing Dragon Age Origins where I was just like, why aren't they used to it yet? Like, everybody complained so much about Andromeda. You think they'd get it? Oh, anyway, so I'm having a really fun time with it, though. I decided I don't really know anything about the story. Like, I kind of have heard snatches of things here and there. I know that Morrigan's awesome. And like a dragon or something. I don't know. I don't know.
There's a suspicious lack of dragons in this Dragon Age. There aren't very many.
There really aren't. There's like in the first game.
The point is, I don't really know much about it.
Dragons.
I don't have a lot of spoilers, so I'm kind of going into this pretty blind. And in spite of the fact that you guys do talk about it all the time, including when I'm trying to talk about it right now.
I'm sorry.
But I went ahead and just decided to go with the city elf storyline.
The female city elf is the best one.
It's the best. Oh my gosh.
It did.
You started with the best one without any prompting from us. I'm so proud.
I'm so glad. You know what's the worst one? The Dalish elf.
Really?
So boring.
It is kind of boring.
I almost went with that, but I went with the city elf because I looked at the story and was like, well, that sounds like the first 3 pages of a romance novel.
The only reason that I ever choose with a Dalish elf one is if I want in the second game for Meryl to say something to your character about how the first time she saw a human with a beard, she thought it was a squirrel on his face. Because she'll say that only if you play as the Dalish elf.
Like, barely even worth it.
I know, it's barely worth it, but it's a funny line.
Can I brag for a second about how pretty I made my elf?
Yeah.
She looks so good.
Aw.
I made her so freaking pretty, you guys.
Nice.
She doesn't have any eyebrows because all of the eyebrows are dumb looking. So I just decided to go with no eyebrows and a facial tattoo.
She also bald because all the hair looks terrible in that game.
I nearly made her bald. I did.
I love the one that's got like little ponytails all over.
I actually kind of like that one, weirdly enough.
I designed her face with no hair so that I could like look at it, and
Cool.
I made sure that she had a really nice shaped skull because I was thinking I was probably just gonna not give her hair. But then I was like, oh, but if I give her like super, super dark hair and then the super pale skin, then she looks a bit like John McClane. And so I ended up doing that.
The first time I ever played the game, I chose the hair that looks like you just had a roll in the hay. And I remember there's a line where Leliana compliments your hair.
Yeah.
She's like, what do you do to make it look so good? And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Hate that hair.
I stand up out of bed and I leave my tent.
You know, I specifically hate that
Clearly.
hair because of the two little pieces that come down and they go right over the pupils of your eyes.
Yeah.
And it looks dumb. It looks so dumb. I hate it. I hate hair in BioWare games. I love BioWare games, but could BioWare just get their crap together for once and understand what a good hairstyle
Also,
looks
could
like?
BioWare give me more than 10 outfits? And no more dumb hats?
True. But it wouldn't be a Dragon Age game without dumb hats.
Let me relay a story from earlier today. I was at work, and all of a sudden I get a text on my phone, and it's Ailsa yelling in text about the combat in Dragon Age.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, why does she keep saying,
Yes.
I'm ready, or
Very
whatever?
well.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Yes.
Let's
Very
do
well.
this. It's like, it was so funny.
My
She's
weapon
just
does
like,
nothing. My weapon does nothing. It's just that over and over again. I like the violent voice though because she says, "Do you need a ladder so you can get off my back?"
So Ailsa texted me, just like freaking out about the combat because it wasn't working at all, and she didn't know why her character kept shouting things, and so I had to explain to her that the combat is really stupid, and you just like. You press A once to initiate auto combat, and then they just do a basic attack, and then you just like throw in another attack here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And like me and Laney, we
Funny
can't just
story.
leave the controller alone, so we just press A over and over
Right.
again, and you just hear your character say nonsense the whole time. But it makes more sense to just not do that.
Funny story though. I remember Jensen was playing in the Kokari Wilds
Yes.
to do the Dalish Elf quest line, and we were like, oh, the combat's so easy. And Jensen was like, what if I close my eyes and you just tell me what buttons to press? And so we did, and she just played blind for like the entire level. And you can do it. You just can close your eyes and the person next to you can say, okay, press A. Now throw on an X. Now Y.
I did that too to get you through one of the dragon fights. I just told you what to press the
Yeah.
whole time. You didn't have your eyes closed, but you were struggling with it because you're playing on normal, and that game has a real spike in difficulty. And so I just like told you what to press and what to do the whole time, and you beat it really easily.
That dragon fight too, I think I played it like 15 times, and I died every time.
And then
until
as soon
finally...
as I coached you, then you got through it.
Yeah.
But I literally, when I texted her back and told her how to play the game, I literally put in there, I've beaten bosses while brushing my teeth in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were right. I mean, just to demonstrate this, I texted you when I was in the middle of a fight where I was just like, I can't figure this out. And I set the controller down to text you, and I didn't look at the screen or do anything. And when I turned back to the screen after I texted you, I had won the fight somehow.
Yeah. That's
Like,
Dragon Age.
It was so boring. And I started to think about it, and I was like, is Laney trolling me? Like, did she want me to play this game because she knew I would hate the fighting?
Yeah,
Is that what was going on?
There's nothing to the combat.
No, the combat is awful. Like,
Yeah.
it's so boring.
That's why everyone hates the Deep Roads, because
Yeah.
the Deep Roads is all
It's
combat.
only combat.
Like, the
so
main
boring.
reason you play Dragon Age is for the story and for the characters and
Yeah.
the conversations. But in the Deep Roads, there's, like, barely anyone to talk to. It's just just constantly fighting Darkspawn.
The only
so
people to talk to in the Deep Roads are the people who are going crazy. So like Ruck, who like sits there and punches the air, and then he shouts something, and then when you talk to him, you just feel sad.
Yeah.
That's the Deep Roads.
But I am enjoying the storyline a lot and the character, and I love looking at my character's pretty face in cutscenes because, like, I forget how awesome I made her look, and then we get to a cutscene, and I'm like, oh, she's so pretty. I made a very attractive woman.
We're glad that's the one thing that really got me through a lot of games that I didn't want to play, is that I made a very beautiful character. And I was just like, just to the next cutscene, I just want to see their face again. I just want to see their beautiful face
And as much as I'm enjoying these games that I'm playing right now, they're both kind of time sucks, and I really want to get back to Sekiro really bad because I miss it. But I am enjoying my time with them, so I regret nothing. Jensen, what are you playing?
Well, just before we started recording this, I played it through all of Outlast Whistleblower at Laney's behest. It was her birthday challenge, and it was terrifying.
I loved every minute
I got through it in about an hour and a half, and I only died twice, which is amazing. I don't know how in the world I did.
It's because you're surprisingly good at it.
It's funny because in any other game, I would be checking around every corner, looking in every room, picking up all the stuff. I would be insistent on doing everything. In this, I just ran through the whole thing. I, like, didn't take my finger off the left bumper.
I basically just ran through the entire thing until you ran into the groom.
Yeah.
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 Which is how I would play it.
I died once at the very beginning because I accidentally jumped between a wall and a bed, and then the wall rider got me. Literally right as I left that cell at the beginning. And then once at the end, when I ran directly into the groom thinking I could run past him, and he picked me up and killed me.
Oh, actually, I remember.
Oh, wait, did I die a third time?
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember you getting killed by the groom twice.
Yeah, I got killed by the groom twice.
Yeah.
But,
I don't remember
that's really good. Markiplier got killed like 50 times.
Yeah. Oh, it was because I was trying to push the thing out of the way of the door, and I didn't push it enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one that killed a lot of people because it's on purpose, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
It's timed perfectly so that as long as you don't let up and you push it all the way, you'll be able to open the door. But if you try and test it and didn't push it far enough, you will die.
I swear they did something to that one to make it so it doesn't push at the same rate as the others. I swear, because I had been up to that point. Every time I had to push something out of the way of the door, I would like count as I did it, and I did it on that one too, and it was still in front of the door. I swear they altered it.
Oh, I wouldn't put it past them. They were really one of the things that works so well for me in that game, and we kind of talked about this a little bit in our last episode. I really like these survival horror games that make you feel vulnerable and make you feel weak.
Yeah.
And make you feel like your life is in danger and survival is on the line. And they do a lot of little subtle things like that in Outlast to just make you feel so helpless. And I would not put it past them at all to have known that like this one particular door, the timing's so important. And so they're going to do it in such a way where you have to push just a little bit longer than you've been doing with the same objects. Totally wouldn't put it past them. That makes sense.
Yeah. But even though it was terrifying and I screamed an awful lot and
you screamed so much
and I was shaking through a lot of it, it was still kind of fun. And now I kind of feel like I could go through it again. Probably won't, but I could. I could go through it again. But
you should play the main game.
Now you only have me to thank. Thank you, Laney, for giving me this opportunity.
I did not say that.
Yes, she did.
Anyway, and then I also played my 4th of July game, which was Red Dead Redemption. I had played it before, but I hadn't gotten very far, so I didn't really remember very much. But I went back to it, and I gotta say, I don't know what it is. I have a lot of trouble taking that game seriously. I'm like, I think part of it is the way he runs. He like picks up his feet really high and like spreads his legs out. Maybe they were trying to make him look bow-legged because he's a cowboy, but he looks so silly. I can't take him seriously. Even though I have trouble taking the game seriously, and so I'm kind of doing a lot of ridiculous stuff, I still enjoy it pretty well. I think the controls are frustrating because it's that special kind of Rockstar frustrating controls where like you walk slower than you do in an Assassin's Creed game, and like you have to like tap A in order to run, which I liked it a lot in Grand Theft Auto when I had to do that to do the bikes and to run and swim and all that, because it meant that when I did the triathlon at the end that took a half hour, it was really taxing to like try and actually win that triathlon because I just had to keep pressing A for a half an hour. And that was really fun. That's my phone. I don't know why it doesn't quite work for me in Red Dead Redemption 1. Maybe it's just that it's an older game and so the controls are slightly stickier and slightly harder. But I had trouble with the controls when I first played it. That's why I stopped playing it. And I still have a little bit of trouble with them now. And then the last game I've been playing is Prey. I decided it was a perfect game to play after Stranger Things because it's kind of got a Stranger Things feel. Because it's like you can have superpowers because you can get the alien like superpowers, and you're fighting these like gloopy, gross monsters and stuff.
Gloopy.
Gloopy.
A terrifying word indeed.
Yes, they are gloopy. But I really like Prey. It reminds me a lot of BioShock, but like the way that BioShock looks and feels, I feel like Prey has a very similar kind of style. But personally, I think that Prey is better for me. Like I don't know if necessarily it's a better game objectively. It might be. It's hard to tell. It's been so long since I played BioShock. But for me, I think I enjoy it more. It's really fun. And I love the ability to turn into like cups and small objects and stuff, and I love to use that to like get through places that I wouldn't be able to get through as a person. And I opted out of a trophy and possibly the good ending, I'm not sure, but I did that so that I could turn into cups and things. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Erin?
It's Laney's turn, actually.
Laney.
It's Laney's turn.
I forgot the order in which we were going.
So my 4th of July game was Assassin's Creed 3, and I started it, and then I remembered how much I hate the tutorial, and then I played some Skyrim as a way to avoid it. And then I went back to it occasionally when I had the time to play. And just today I sat down and I really tried my hardest, and I'm still in the tutorial. And it's because that game has the worst tutorial ever.
You haven't played Kingdom Hearts 2.
I haven't, but I really hate Assassin's Creed 3's tutorial in that it's just, there's a lot of little things that just really irk me, like it just has you wait really long before it lets you move after doing a certain thing, or it like really wants you to do it this specific way, and it's just, it takes away my freedom and makes me really annoyed. But I feel like the first time I played it, I didn't like hate them, and now I like hate them, and it's because I feel like he's just as fed up with the tutorial as me, but he's a little more polite about it, you know? And he seems
he's got that like British thing where like he'll tell you how much he doesn't like it, but he'll do it in a polite way where you might not realize it.
And he's giving me some weird Syrian Heinz feels, and it just makes me like him, you know? Yeah. So I like Hatham. I also did not know he was Edward Kenway's son, or that he was Connor's father. So there's that.
I didn't either.
Yeah. That's what I've been doing.
I haven't played a lot of the Assassin's Creed games.
Well,
anyway.
you.
So, this is our episode where we are going to talk about music.
Yay, music.
We're going to talk about game music, obviously. But first, we wanted to get a little bit into our musical backgrounds because we're all sort of music-y people. So, Erin, tell us a little bit about you musically. Okay. History of Erin.
History of Erin. Okay, I'm going to try to make this quick. So, I'm the youngest child of 4. I don't know, since I was really young, my parents were teaching my siblings and me to sing 4-part harmony and up and just sang together all the time. My dad was in the tabernacle choir for 20 years, and my mom is in the orchestra at Temple Square as a violinist. My sister was in the Tabernacle Choir for a while. She's 5th generation on my dad's side and 6th generation on my mom's side, but 6 consecutive on my mom's side. So, yeah, crazy. So, when I was like 11 or 12, my sister taught me piano for a while, but I really, really, really wanted to play violin. And so I was doing both for a little bit, and then I just dropped the piano because violin was obviously my jam. I did high school orchestra, madrigals, and a cappella. So my senior year was like almost all music classes. It was awesome. I joined the Salt Lake Symphony after I graduated high school. I also took cello lessons from my aunt for almost a year after high school. But I decided I wanted to buy a new violin instead because I was renting to own the cello, so I quit the cello and just continued with violin. Sorry, I'm trying to go fast.
Like how you're like, I'm gonna go fast. I'm just gonna tell you about me. So at birth,
I'm just like listening to this and I'm like, it's gonna be a hard act to follow. I'm gonna be like, I sing along to the video.
It's a running joke in my family that if you didn't come out singing, my parents threw you back. So we have some missing siblings.
Okay, but actually, interesting idea for a fairy tale.
This one's just not musical.
Send it back. But I really want to continue with like voice lessons. My paternal grandma taught all of the grandchildren when they turned 16. But when I turned 16, she didn't have a pianist anymore and she refused to teach without a pianist. So I kind of got screwed there. I mean, I know how to sing, but mostly just choir stuff. I want to do more solo stuff. So eventually I want to do more voice lesson stuff. And then our favorite genres. So I like a little bit of everything, especially classic rock, some pop, as long as it's not too whiny. Classical music, obviously. And I hate country with a burning passion. I cannot stand it.
No, but don't you want to hear about
no.
my truck and the
No.
cold beers I share with my father and that girl that I like to whistle at on the weekends?
My dog ran away.
Okay, and I played viola and clarinet when I was younger, but I quit both to focus entirely on piano because, kind of like you, as soon as I started learning that, with you it was the violin, but with me it was piano, I was like, oh no, this is my instrument, I found it. And I kind of wanted to devote more time to that, and so I just focused on the piano for a long time. And wanted to be great at it, and I'm not at all. For a while there, I was pretty darn good. But I haven't kept it up, unfortunately. And then I also took voice for a little while when I was a teenager. Our grandmother was an opera singer, and she taught voice for many, many years. And she had always said, she'd always had like an open invitation to anybody in the family who wanted to learn voice that she would teach us. And so I took from her for a little while. And our lessons stopped basically because, I mean, I'm pretty sure she just doesn't like my voice. Honestly, I'm not very talented. I don't have a strong soloist voice. I'm like a real solid supporting choir member. And I can do alto or soprano or mezzo soprano or whatever. But it's not a solo voice at all. And but I do love music, and I've written music, and not in a while, but that's something that I used to do a lot and get a lot of enjoyment out of. And I don't really dislike any genre of music. I'm not a huge country fan, especially like pop country, but you know, I definitely have my exceptions. I love Dolly Parton. I love Johnny Cash. You know, there's definitely some country or country influenced musicians that I like. But for the most part, it's like it probably would be my least favorite too. When I was growing up, we used to go to the opera a lot, partially from my grandmother's influence, and her sons both sang in the Utah Opera, so we get free tickets, so I would go all the time. And I loved opera. I listened to a lot of classical music as a teenager, but then I also, on the other side of the scale, that was when I discovered that I also really loved industrial and metal and some of this harder, screamy, angry stuff, which is so great. Just love that.
And then I went through a phase for a while where I was listening to almost nothing but classical rock. And now I've kind of moved into this more sort of electronica thing that I really, really love. And like that's what's made up most of my writing playlists that I put together.
Well, I have also done a little bit of piano and bass, and of course I sing, but I'm a terrible musician because I really don't like to practice. But I do love music, and I definitely consider it to be one of the most important and powerful things in like any movie or video game or anything. As for my taste in music, I pretty much like all music except I really generally hate country music. The few exceptions there are, it's always a woman singing. Nearly always. I mean, Johnny Cash, that's probably the only man I can think of who is a country singer that I like. But I don't know why. It's a weird thing with me.
Very rock country, but still
kind of dips into country.
I always felt like he was more classic rock than country.
He occasionally dips into country, and even when he dips into country, I still tend to like his music.
Mm-hmm.
But people who are just straight country, and like unless they're a woman, I don't like them. I'm not gonna like them. But even then, like it's not everyone. You know,
it's pretty rare.
I like Dolly Parton, but
you gotta love Dolly Parton.
I tend not to like stuff that's too slow or sappy, like smooth jazz. Yeah. But I really love opera. I like hip hop. I like pop. I like soul, and I like pretty much anything from the 80s.
Lame face.
Cool. So I taught myself piano for about a year because my mom insisted on it. And then I did a little bit of guitar, but not much. I like Jensen, hate practicing. So I can't say I can play any musical instrument, but I can read it.
You have to practice 40 hours a day.
I
40 hours a day, Laney.
Lane.
40 hours.
Yeah, that was Mom when I was in junior high. I really like singing. I've done lots of choir. I've done church choir, school choir, all the choirs really. Except, you know,
done all the choirs.
I've done all the choirs.
I know all the Twitters.
I know all the choirs. I sing soprano, alto, mezzo soprano. I can't tell if I'm any good. That probably tells you enough that I'm probably not that good. But I do remember doing solo parts in choir, and then I stopped doing them because I had too much anxiety, so that's fun. As for my music taste, I grew up listening to everything that Ailsa listened to, so a lot of industrial rock.
A lot of screamo.
Rammstein, AFI.
Well, everything else to listen to when you were little.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't listen to all that stuff now.
Well, I listened to that. That was what I was listening to when I was a teenager.
But Rammstein, AFI.
But that's all Laney's taste now.
My Chemical Romance. Yeah, that was, and I really liked that, and I carried it out to junior high, and in junior high, I sort of learned a little bit more because all of my friends were like, oh, you need to listen to these other bands. So by junior high, I really liked 21 Pilots, Panic at the Disco, Fall Out Boy, and I was learning a lot more about My Chemical Romance after the fact that they'd broken up. So that was funny. And then in high school, I branched out even more because of beautiful apps like Spotify and Pandora, and discovered like Fantagram and Purity Ring and Young Summer. And so now I'd say that a lot of my favorite artists are Florence Welch, Beach Bunny, Purity Ring, Aurora, Young Summer, Tessa Violet, and Grimes are just to name a few, but I still like to listen to the stuff from my childhood, like Rammstein and
I love that
Muse.
Rammstein is like the music of your childhood.
Rammstein is the music of my childhood. Du hast.
That was like one of their worst
Ein
songs.
kleiner Mensch stirbt Nordheimschein.
I wonder how close you are.
I don't know any German, so it's
I would
hilarious.
like to apologize to any listeners who speak German.
Ganz allein
Oh,
sein.
wow.
Oh my gosh.
Verstehe verstanden.
Oh no,
Really,
stop.
really quick side story. We had an English teacher in junior high. Was it Mr. Miller? He was kind of older.
I wasn't in junior high with you, remember?
Oh yeah, duh.
Yeah,
Wow,
we went to
sad.
Kimber.
That's right. Anyway, he was an older gentleman, and he played that ridiculous song for us one time, and I was like, "What is happening?"
Yes.
Nice.
I do very much like the Rammstein song about the little boy who's buried alive with a music box. That one's great. That one's called Spielher.
It's happy.
I like that one.
Poor Erin. Erin had to go to a happy place for a second there.
That was my happy place growing up. I was like, yeah, I mean,
I
it
wanna
really
be
sucked if you got buried alive
alive.
without a music box.
Anyway,
Okay.
clearly we're just not. We wanted to do like a serious deep dive into video game music for
We
this
also
episode.
wanted to do it quickly.
That is not going to happen.
Not gonna happen.
And which is good that what we decided to do was just go totally surface level with this, and we're just going to do our 5 Desert Island video game soundtracks and why. So, Erin, 5 Desert Island game soundtracks and why?
All right. Okay, no particular order. And I couldn't decide between Halo 2 and Halo 3. They're both amazing. Like, obviously the first Halo's music was awesome and epic, but then Halo 2 and 3 stepped it up a notch, and it was fantastic. Donkey Kong 2 Diddy's Conquest has my favorite retro video game music. And I can't choose a favorite level because they're all just amazing. Obviously Skyrim, God of War, and Batman Arkham City. It's fantastic. So just all really good.
Yes, I second all of that. Those are really solid choices. For me, I had to go with Silent Hill. Actually looking at this, I'm realizing that I went with like really heavy soundtracks.
Yeah.
All of them are really heavy and sad. These are all soundtracks that you listen to when you want to like contemplate eternity and cry a lot on the floor. But like that apparently is my thing, because the other soundtracks that I went with after Silent Hill were Mass Effect 2, Nier, Dark Souls 3, and The Witcher 3. Like these are all heavy.
If you'd chosen Mass Effect 3, it would have been heavier.
Yeah, the do.
Don't start it. Look, I had to like make a choice, okay? And I went with 2.
Okay. So I decided to just cheat. I didn't choose individual games. I chose series because I couldn't decide. So first is Elder Scrolls, mainly just Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. I don't have a lot of music on my phone, you guys, because I always feel bad when I decide I don't want to listen to a song anymore and then I have to delete it. But I do have Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim, and I listen to them all the time. And then I chose Zelda. I really love the Zelda songs. Mass Effect, all of them. And then Fable. Those games are silly, but they've found music. And then Far Cry 5. I decided to listen to Oh the Bliss today in preparation for this, and I straight up was gonna cry for like a half an hour afterwards. I don't know what it is, but that song just makes me cry.
You good, bud?
I was at work just trying not to cry, listening to Oh the Bliss.
You know that's most people, but...
Laney.
Okay, so first off, I protest all Desert Island anything. I think it's a dumb concept, but I will play along for the sake of the podcast.
Noted.
I will, out of the Zelda games, I really, really like Breath of the Wild and Ocarina of Time, so those are 2 of my top picks. I also chose Undertale because that soundtrack includes the 8-bit sounds and then like full orchestra pieces, and I love it. I also just chose Mass Effect and Dragon Age as full series because I love them. I also completely forgot about Far Cry 5, and I just wanted to note a couple specific songs from video games that I will like never forget. And the Wild Arms theme,
Yes.
and the Castlevania 64 opening song.
Occasionally I wake up in the middle of the night and the Wild Arms theme is just like playing in my head, and I just have to lie there trying not to cry. It's just so nostalgic for me.
Do you remember when we were in Wales and we climbed Snowdon? Was it Snowdon? Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
It's no
I was listening to the theme for the first Wild Arms games as we reached the top.
Oh, and he
And
climbs
right when we,
the
yeah, that's what he
mountain.
does in the thing is he
Oh,
climbs the mountain. It just came up. I didn't choose it. And it just like happened as we were reaching the summit. And right when I got to the top, it ended and I just looked out over Llanfair. No, it was we were in where we were.
Snowdon. So
I don't remember
it's
where we were.
Northern Wales. You can see Liverpool on the
Okay,
other side.
but I looked out over Wales and I was just like, yeah, I feel
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I will say that I'll be going about my day, and then all of a sudden I'll just hear in my head, do 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 do.
Okay, well, we're cutting that.
Wait.
Oh my gosh. Even including rests and counting out the notes.
Okay.
I've actually, because you play the violin, I've always wanted to
Oh,
like
you
Oh, seriously?
get the music for that
It's
for
like
you.
my
That song is
favorite.
great. This is for Castlevania 64. Don't know if you knew that.
Okay,
That's
exactly.
that's the
It's a
menu
violin
song.
thing.
First, like, okay, I played through that game quite a few times. Played it a ton when I was little, and it took me a long time to realize that music was more than just the first like 2 notes, because it just plays the first couple of notes
Because you just press start
back and
immediately.
forth. Yeah, and I just immediately press start. But if you sit there and listen, one time I turned it on when I wasn't quite ready to play the game, and I think I was like brushing my teeth or something, and then the song like actually started, and I was like, "What is
it's
this
like a
beautiful
waltz.
music?"
It
I know
turns
it's
into
a
a
waltz,
waltz,
which is my favorite kind of
And
music.
it has the, not going to spoil it, but it has a creepy 12-year-old boy playing the violin to it.
Yeah,
in
and
the
Two-Set
opening
Violin
theme.
would critique him very hard.
To spoil it, because Ailsa did. The little boy is Dracula, and if you get the bad ending, you run away with him, and he
Shock.
asks you to marry him. If you're
Why
with
would
the girl.
that? I don't understand how that's the
I
bad
don't
ending.
understand.
Yeah,
That's
I
like
wish I
the
could
best
gotten that ending.
possible ending.
I got the good ending, quotation marks, and it's just sad because you leave flowers at your mother's grave and you don't even have a vampire overlord asking to marry you. That's all I've ever wanted in a game. Why can't Nintendo figure that out?
Nintendo just doesn't understand. How to
I just want a vampire overlord to want to marry me. For goodness sake.
It's Capcom.
Oh, Capcom.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Why did I think it was Nintendo?
Because you played it on
Because it's
N64.
on Nintendo 64.
Oh, that's why.
But it's a Capcom game. Yeah.
I
Capcom.
think. I'm like 90%.
Figure your crap out. Make this game.
Okay, no, it's not Capcom. It's
It's not
It's
Capcom?
Konami.
Yeah, it's Konami.
Oh gosh, what's
my
wrong with
gosh,
me?
I'm a freaking idiot. Yeah, you're right, because they make all those Plinko
It's-
games
it's
now,
past
and no
midnight.
Castlevania
Let's
games.
stop talking about that, please.
Okay.
Anyway, that's super
Before we get
depressing.
sad.
You confused me so hard when you said Capcom, and I was like, why did I agree with that for a half second? And then I realized why. It's because unconsciously I kind of associate Devil May Cry with Castlevania for some reason.
I think that's what it is
So-
with me too.
Yeah.
For the next question,
Weird.
I'm going to mediate real quickly because I feel like this next question can be quickly answered, and that all of us basically gave the same answer.
Yeah.
Except me, I had one different thing.
So basically, we're talking about rhythm games in the next question, just because I don't know. Some people kind of sort of brought up rhythm games when we were talking about video game music and video game soundtrack, and I kind of feel like that's cheating because most of them, I mean, not most of them. There's plenty of rhythm games that employ original music, but most of them are derivative of other music, either other video game music or just popular music. So I don't know. They kind of are cheating, but they're fun. So I figured we could just talk about what's fun about them.
I kind of think that what's fun about them is the fact that you're playing songs you recognize. I don't
Exactly.
think it would be
That's
fun
what-
if you were
that's
playing
what's fun
original
about
music.
them.
I mean, one of the reasons why Beat Saber is so much fun is because the first time I played it on Pop Stars.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And
Yes.
because you feel like you're inside the music,
Yeah.
making it
You
happen.
can
Which is fun.
feel every
It's a very
individual
satisfying.
hit.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
such
I mean-
a good feeling.
I mean, also, when I played Rock Band and I sucked at the guitar portion, you guys made me play Say It Ain't So.
Oh all
over
day.
and over and
All
over
day.
again. I played it for
It's
hours.
because we wanted to be able to play Rock Band with a full band, and we needed you to not suck.
Now I'm like in the car and I'm like flipped on the telly, wrestled with Jimmy, and I'm like, why do I feel so bad right now? The thing is that the highest I could get was like 60%.
That's all we needed.
I'm still that bad at guitar.
Yeah, for me, Guitar Hero and Rock Band were fun as rhythm games, but it got to a point where, with Rock Band especially, it just evolved into karaoke because I always ended up on vocals for some reason.
Yeah.
I loved doing vocals. I did nothing else.
I like drums.
I was so bad at the drums.
Yeah, vocals are the only part that I can actually do.
So basically, we all like Beat Saber, Guitar Hero, Rock Band, and
But I posit that Lego Rock Band is better.
It is the best.
Because it's Lego.
Also, Lego
So
Rock
better.
Band, when we played it together, I was vocals, you were guitar, and it had brought up like We Are the Champions. It brought it up as like a challenge randomly.
Yeah.
And I got to sing as Lego Freddie Mercury,
Yes.
and I got 100% on it, and I had accessed his soul. He
And
was
she
right
didn't
there
know it
with
was
me,
happening.
helping me sing that song.
It was a
like,
complete
yeah.
surprise, and it was
I
awesome.
really hope that Freddie Mercury's ghost has something better to do than help you beat a Lego video game.
Freddie Mercury believes in me, Ailsa!
It's better thinking that he just like jumps around to help people with Lego Rock Band. That's so much better.
So one that we didn't list, and I just thought of, is Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Yeah.
Super fun. Like, you have to move and attack on the beat, and the music is super catchy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the
Hyrule. What was it?
Melody of
The one that
Hyrule?
Adam handed me the controller during the last time we tried to
Cadence.
film the podcast.
Cadence of Hyrule.
Yeah, Cadence of Hyrule.
That's the one that just came
Hyrule.
out. Everybody's crazy about it. Haven't played it yet, but you played it for a second, and you've played it, right? Yeah.
Wait, no, not
Cadence
yet.
of Hyrule?
I've played
okay.
Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Oh, okay.
I still need to play the other
And
one.
by you and you, it's Laney and Erin.
I'm sorry, I've done that a couple of times this episode. I'm the worst.
There was one last thing on this subject. When can we get a Led Zeppelin rock band? Please!
Seriously.
Yeah.
Wait.
Because they finally started letting people use their stuff. Because for a long time there, they wouldn't let people use anything. And now they're finally like, oh hey, maybe it's a good idea and people might start to recognize us more.
I know, and like it's a little rich coming from a band that initially made a bunch of albums where they just used like, you know, old jazz songs that everybody had recorded, and then they like copyrighted them like they wrote them, which they didn't. Come on, Led Zeppelin. Anyway, sorry.
Also, Peter Parker looking at AC/DC and asking if this is Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Amazing.
Oh, good.
I have a friend who always does that like as a joke. Like whenever
Oh my gosh,
he
I
hears
love Led Zeppelin.
he just likes to look at people's faces when he hears a song, and he just goes like, for example, you know, because it was the early 2000s, if he heard a Britney Spears song, he'd be like, oh man, I love Christina Ricci.
Okay, Mom is like
He
that.
wouldn't even see Christina Aguilera, he'd say Christina Ricci.
That's amazing.
And people would just look at him, and it was so funny.
Our mom is like that, except that she says it completely serious. We're
Yeah.
like listening to a song by Shakira, and she's just like, "Oh, I like Lady Gaga." I'm like, "That's not right, Mom."
Yeah, no, like, anyway.
Is that why? I swear, I looked over at Mom during the movie when he said, I love Led Zeppelin. And I feel like her face was just completely blank.
She can't. She can't. She cannot tell the difference between artists. It's just not. She doesn't even
Well,
listen.
she doesn't listen to the lyrics. She
That's
doesn't-
why.
She doesn't
Yeah.
listen to words.
She
just listens to the
just
melody.
saw the movie.
What are they saying?
Completely different bands, but anyway.
Yeah. She just saw Yesterday, and she really doesn't like the Beatles. Like, she notoriously hates the Beatles. But she was dragged to see Yesterday, and she gained an appreciation for them because for the first time in her life, she was forced to acknowledge what the lyrics to those songs are. And she was like, these are really nice lyrics.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
That's why she's
Why
never
do you think
understood
she
any
just
of the
doesn't hear
music
them?
I like, because she
For
just
some reason,
doesn't
she
listen to
just
lyrics.
doesn't hear the lyrics. I don't know what her deal is.
It's
She
also-
just only hears the melody.
That's also why she would listen to a ton of songs that were very inappropriate and would love them. And I'd be like, Mom, you know what this song is about, right? She'd be like jamming out to Funky Cole Medina, and I'd be like,
I think I accidentally downloaded the unedited version of Holla Back Girl for her once, and she didn't notice.
No.
What?
Of course she didn't.
What the heck? I was like, oh no, Mom, I'm sorry, I downloaded the wrong one. She's like, this is fine. I'm like, okay.
What?
Yeah.
Come on. Your 7-year-old daughter's in the back of the car.
Getting an education.
Yeah.
Anyway.
This not.
Okay. What not video game thing are you obsessed with right now?
Okay, so Spider-Man just in general right now, like especially after seeing Far From Home and Into the Spider-Verse, and they reminded me that Spider-Man is my favorite Marvel superhero because DC is my favorite. So for a while I forgot who my favorite Marvel superhero was, and I couldn't decide. I was like, I don't know, I like Iron Man a lot, and then I've been playing Spider-Man and then watching Spider-Man. I'm like, yeah, it's Spider-Man, obviously. Two-set violin videos are always a great time.
Yes.
They're so funny. And so good at the violin. Like, yeah, incredible. And Zach and I just started watching Castle for the first time, and I love it so much. Nathan Fillion is the best.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
I'm
Sorry, I'm bitter about that show. Still love the beginning.
Don't ruin it for it. Just enjoy
I'm
it.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'll stop. I'll stop talking about it further.
Don't be sad that it will end. Be happy that you had it.
Yes.
Okay. The non-video game, I actually have been really video game centric the last couple of weeks, but I did binge watch every single video from a couple of channels on YouTube. And one of them is ContraPoints, and I know I'm totally late to the party. Like, ContraPoints has been around for a while. Everybody loves her. Natalie's brilliant. Her videos are great. And so, yeah, I love her videos, but everybody knows about her. The other one is Audacity Guide, which I feel like has so, like relatively few subscribers considering how good the content is. Like, it really surprises me that more people do not watch Audacity Guide's video. But she's got, like, relatively fewer videos.
She's got very few. I
know. I binge watched all of them, and then I had to binge watch all of them again because there just weren't enough, and I needed more, and so I just watched them twice. But they're really good, really fascinating deep dives into weird little internet mysteries and stuff like that, and little cultural things, and it's very cool. So yeah, I got super obsessed with 2 YouTube channels in addition to playing all of the video games.
For me, Stranger Things still. I absolutely loved season 3, and I'm already trying to make myself stop thinking about it so that I don't lose my mind before the 4th season comes out, because that will happen. I'm like forcing myself to not watch the show over too many times and to not watch too many videos about it on YouTube, or search for when the release date of the 4th season is going to be, because there's no way they have that information now. But I'll still look for it. And then I've still been listening to How Did This Get Made, and trying to watch the movies with them, but my schedule makes it a little bit hard. And then The Nanny is the last one for me. So I hooked up my original Xbox to my TV, and for some reason the cord that plugs it in, it makes it so I get like 10 channels on my TV, and one of them shows The Nanny from 10 to midnight on most days. And so I watch The Nanny now just about every night. It makes me so happy.
That show has actually managed to age pretty well. I mean, it's got an
occasional problematic moments,
but it's some occasional 90s stuff.
But it's no Friends. I mean, yeah.
I do have to say, every time I'm settling into bed and I hear, "Oh, Mr. Sheffield," I'm like,
doesn't it just give you life?
It makes me sleepier too, because that show lulled me to sleep.
It's comforting.
Yeah. If my TV would shut itself off,
Drescher's voice is comforting.
I don't know how to set it on a timer so it'll shut itself off, but if it did, I would fall asleep to that every night. But yeah.
Okay, Lane Face.
So I've been very boring, and every time I'm home and I'm not playing video games, I've been cleaning my room and organizing it. And it's been very good. I moved all of my plants up into my room, and it's just nice to have those little good boys on my windowsill.
Yeah. And you organized your Barbie movie collection.
I did organize my Barbie movie collection. It's 2019, and I shamelessly have a Barbie movie collection. I have 5 Barbie movies, so they're all the good ones.
Slowly growing. Too.
Slowly growing. I did buy Barbie Rapunzel just last week. But besides that, I've been watching a lot of YouTube. I've been watching Julian Solomita's cooking videos because I think it's really comforting to watch Aries cook in the Aries kitchen. Weirdly enough, it's just very nice. And then I've also been watching Paperback Dreams, who's a booktuber. And I kind of just like it because she has very high standards for books. And there are books that I think are like, oh, I really like that book. And she's like 3 stars. And I don't know. I just kind of like her tough love way of rating books. It's fun. And she reads a lot of books that she hates. So it's fun.
So, what are you looking forward to playing next, Erin?
Ooh, so Man of Medan comes out next month. I've already talked about how excited I am for that, but I recently found out it has online co-op, and you can go off and do your own stuff, and there's no in-game communication. So you could like make a decision that could totally screw over the other person later on in the game, like depending on your personality or what you do to different characters.
Erin, I will play with you.
Yeah,
I want to screw up your game.
Same.
I want to play with all of you and screw you all over.
We should all
Is there
play
4 player? Because
Because
we should all play
Oh my
together.
gosh, we should all double cross each other.
Yes! We'll just play a game where we'll see who can be a bigger bastard to everyone else.
I bet it'll be me. I can do that.
I agree.
I'll probably be the nicest.
My name is
Erin's
Ailsa.
so going, can't we all just get along?
I feel bad when I screw people over.
Erin, this is an amazing
As I do
idea.
something that causes the room she's
Let
in
it
to
be
light on
known that
fire.
Erin is the one who suggested that we all double cross each other.
But we can all agree that I'm the biggest bastard on this podcast.
Well, yeah.
Great, thank you. I'm Lane and I approve this message.
You're lame? That's an old joke. As she leaves.
Okay.
She's leaving
Not
the
again.
podcast.
Goodbye, lady. The next games that I'm planning to play are Inside, which I mentioned before. I bought on the Switch a few days before it became free on Xbox, so yay for me. And I'm going to be playing Inside. I'm going to play Layers of Fear 2, and I'm going to finish Until Dawn, I promise.
Yes, please do.
I
We want to be
am.
able to talk about it. It's
Yeah.
been years.
Seriously.
I was actually like really close to the end.
I'm
I just need to sit down and do
I
it.
hate you.
Years,
I know.
Elsa.
I'm never gonna forget
And
you.
then I got a PS4 like years after it comes out and beat Until Dawn in a few weeks.
I know. You beat it so fast, and Elsa's over here like, kind of close to the end. All right. As far as what hasn't come out yet, I'm still really excited for Cyberpunk, always and forever. But as far as what I actually have control over, I think after I finish Prey, I'm gonna go back and replay BioShock, because
It's making you nostalgic for
it's
BioShock.
making me want to replay BioShock.
Yeah.
And I was pretty close to getting all the achievements for it. I need to play it on hard and do a couple of little things, and then we've got them all. So, gotta play it on hard without using a Vita chamber, which I never used one in my first playthrough, so that shouldn't be too hard. I think I
Cool.
played it on normal.
Dang dog.
Well, I have to say I'm very excited to be done with the tutorial of Assassin's Creed 3.
You're so close, Laney. You're so close.
I know. I'm to the part that I got stuck on the last time I tried to play it when I was like 12. I'm as bad as I was when I was 12.
She really is. I don't know what it is. I've watched Laney play games and actually be good at them in the last couple of years since she played Assassin's Creed 3. But when I watch her play Assassin's Creed 3, it's like she's 8 years old again. She's just like
It's
jamming on the X button over and over and over again, trying to fight people. and just being like, why won't you die? It's like, this game is stupid. I can't be stealthy.
It's Vertigo, I tell you.
It straight up is
It's
Vertigo. And it's making me furious.
And then I'm also very excited to play Man of Medan. I think I want to buy it like immediately when it comes out because I love it and I wish there was more horror games that I could consume that are like Until Dawn.
Mm-hmm. You should try Whistleblower.
So
I don't want to.
when you say you want more horror
Says
games,
the one who
like
made me play it.
Okay, I've
Until
watched
Dawn.
Whistleblower 3 times now, so I probably could beat it, but whatever.
When you say you want more games like Until Dawn, do you specifically mean horror games that aren't really that scary?
Yes.
Okay.
I want horror
That's
games.
exactly what
I want
she
horror
meant.
games that are spoopers, but like nothing big.
Okay.
Okay,
I
with
wanna
back
be,
vocabulary,
I
we're
want
like,
to be sufficiently spooked, but I want to be able to fall asleep. I gotta have work in the
with
morning.
vocabulary like that, it tells me that we need to end the podcast.
Yeah.
And did we even introduce ourselves?
No,
No.
Laney, how about you sign us out without ever introducing anybody on this?
Okay, this has been Princess in Another Podcast. Your princess is not in this podcast. You should try the next one.
What
Might be the next podcast.
I don't know.
we had
Try the next podcast.
We briefly considered calling it the All Your Base Are Belonging to Us Now podcast. But, like, we probably would have
But-
actually been able to remember that
It's
better.
so long.
All your base are belong to us. Somebody set up us the bond.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I am Error.